Alright, hey everybody, welcome to another late night here on the east coast of Canada, is what I normally say. But hey, it's actually Saturday afternoon, I'd say morning, but it's not. I just sleep in on Saturdays to about noon normally. Anyway, Dwarf Fortress is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, like Civ or like Sim type games. Not sure what you want to describe it as. You know, things along the lines of like dungeon keeper and you know, things in those veins where you're managing a bunch of people. Not sure why no others can come to mind right now. That's frustrating. Anyway, we're gonna create a new world here, and I'm actually going to do a bit of a tutorial on how to play the game. Because I have now some of some people here on Twitch that watch me on occasion enjoy watching me play Dwarf Fortress, but there's a good amount of people that don't know how to play the game, or watch and are like, oh, there's stuff happening and this interests me. But so I'm gonna just make a quick tutorial people can check out. I don't know if there's any good recent ones out there. I know when I first did Dwarf Fortress a long time ago, there's this guy called Captain Duck. So if he's still out there, feel free to check him out. And he did a very lengthy and basic tutorial on the very, very old version. Unfortunately, when I came back into it recently, after not having played in a long time, million updates, million changes, and when you fall behind Dwarf Fortress, you fall behind. Right now, we're creating a world. You have to do this before you actually play the game. You're going to want your world size set to medium. If you're a normal person, I'm going to set it to large. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to extend the amount of time it takes to generate it, which is okay. The history, this is all fine on medium. However, I am the kind of crazy guy. I like to turn my savagery up. And also, civilizations I like to put on very high. We'll just put high, though, as opposed to very high, just because it can cause problems if you go very high. No, we'll put on very high, because I want more chances of multiple things to interact with, because unfortunately, almost every time I actually do start Dwarf Fortress, I don't have enough civilizations, and we have to restart the series. As for mineral occurrence, if it's your first time playing the game, you can go frequent. It will make the game a lot easier. But I would recommend sparse. I know you're tempted. You're like, oh, but if I make more minerals, I'm going to be richer faster. I can pump out more weapons. Yes, but you're going to get extremely bloated on your fortress wealth, which is going to come in later in the game. And it's something you want to keep low early on because you won't be able to manage everything that's happening. So we're going to hit Y to go. It's going to start generating. And I love the world generation for this. It's a lot of fun to watch. You might hear some music here. I know I sure do. Let me just double check the audio is okay for that, actually. Seems fine. I'll just turn it down a little bit, though. But, someone created a mod for this called Sound Sense, and everyone has told me to use it. So, basically it just adds, some music. That's quite nice, actually. Sounds very Canadian. Yes, anyway. So, mods for the game. I use a graphic pack. It's not crazy. Normally I just play vanilla Dwarf Fortress, just ASCII graphics. However, recently, since I started streaming it, I've been using a graphic pack, or a tile set, if you will. Just so people can see what's going on, because if you're not used to Dwarf Fortress, it's extremely hard to visualize things without that. So highly recommend picking one of those up. How do you do this? Well, you can download the Lazy Noob pack, and I will show you what that looks like. Actually, let's see if I can pull it up on my screen. So when you download it, it's going to look like this. You just fire up the Lazy Noob pack. It's going to have everything you need. You're going to want to set your population cap. The default, I think, is 100 or 120. And your child cap will look something like this. And your population cap there. This should be about 150. I have mine set a little bit higher. I have Dwarf Fortress. You don't need much to run, but you do need a very good CPU. And the problem with it is, it's not like, oh, well, I have like 20 cores, and Dwarf Fortress is limited to only using a single core. Kind of a big deal. It's actually a big problem with the game, but unfortunately, from a programming standpoint, it's extremely hard to do anything about that. So, mine, I'm using an i7. When I bought my computer, I just made sure. There's literally two things I gave a crap about when I was, you know, building my latest computer like 6 years ago or something, 5 years ago. And number one is CPU, because I do a lot of video editing and stuff like that, and streaming, obviously. So it's very important to me to have a powerful CPU. I'm sure there's better than the i7 now, and I certainly didn't buy the best i7 at the time, but I did spend a bit on that. The reason being, each single core is very powerful on my current one, because I do play a lot of games like Dwarf Fortress or older games that can only use a single core. So we can only use one core for something. It's important to have a very good single core. I believe I have a quad core, but each individual is quite good. Apologies for the, you know, useless techno babble, if you will. Anyway, let's look at other things here. Invaders, 100%. You just want all this on. This is just stuff in the game. You can turn it off to make the game quote-unquote easier. If you do that, you're going to kill the experience for yourself. It's just going to happen. I don't mess with any of this stuff. I don't care about it. Graphics, you want to click Phoebus. You can click any of these. Mayday is actually a very nice looking pack. I quite like it. The reason not to use Mayday is it is a square base tile set. And if you look at Dwarf Fortress here, you might be able to tell. Normally things are rectangular in shape. See, so the width and the height are, I think it's a 1 to 1.75 or something like that, but it's not a an equal ratio. So by doing that, you stretch the game out, which isn't bad, but what it effectively ends up doing is you get less real estate for your screen. A lot of people, that's not going to bother. They're just going to be like, oh, my game looks great. I really like the graphics. It's very easy to keep up with. And that's fine. I'm very happy for you if you do that. But I like to see more things going on. There's a zoom out feature included with the Lazy Noob pack, and Mayday had it as well, I know that, but it has some problems with graphics. I don't recommend it. Anyway, so this is the one I use. Customization, don't mess with anything there. Utilities, things I like to turn on. I have been starting to use Dwarf Therapist. The chat, it told me forever to get into that. So we are using Dwarf Therapist now. I have it ticked off no here because I find if you take it auto on, it will crash your game. So just manually enable this. I may or may not get into Dwarf Therapist with this recording session. It makes the game a little bit easier, but right now I just want to focus on the getting into the game and playing it. Sound sense is very good. Feel free to turn that on and update and download and everything. DF hack is good, but we're not going to worry about that at all because it's just for minor tweaking to help your game run a little bit smoother. But sound sense is very good. It just gives you more immersion, and if you're playing a single player game, immersion's something you want. So right here, this is all default, I believe, and you should probably leave that on. And DF hack, don't touch that. And then you just click play Dwarf Fortress and you're good to go. I'm going to come back here, and we're still rejecting regions, which is why I took the time to talk about the other programs here. Because generating your first world may take up to half an hour. Maybe not. Part of the reason for that is I put it on very big. So it is going to take longer for me to generate. The plus side of this is often I'll generate a world and I'll wait for like 15 minutes. I'll get it, and I won't have any starts that I want specifically for me. So it's better, in my opinion, to generate the bigger world. Just leave the computer for a while, come back. Unfortunately, I am playing this real time, so you guys get to suffer through that with me, but it's allowing me to talk about some other things that I might not get the chance to while playing the game because I'll get into the mechanics. So, this gives me a good time to talk about Dwarf Therapist. So I will just bring that up real quick. I just passed it, apologies. So Dwarf Therapist. here we are. Right now, we can't actually do much with it because we can't connect to a game because we don't have one running yet. This is going to be something you have to Alt-Tab to if you play the game full screen. I don't recommend it. I'd recommend playing the game windowed. That's just how I like to play games in general, though. Full screen's very nice for, you know, a shooter or something like that, but for the most part, I play things windowed with just like a little sidebar so I can change music and stuff like that. So here we are. You can connect to Dwarf Fortress, which I can't do. And in here, there's a lot of stuff that you just don't want to mess with any of that for a long time. Feel free to check a wiki page on it. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up all your dwarves here. And it allows you to very quickly... I don't use it to set what jobs people have, but you can do it for that. I always just use it to either name people or to sort of see where people are, like who the new people that just came in my castle are. Unfortunately, I thought we could at least mess with a couple of the settings, but we can't do that until the game's up and running, so we'll get back to it. I'll try and remember. This looks like a pretty cool world, except for, you know, but huge amount of water over here. But I assume the world is just zoomed out and stuck in the top left corner. Yeah, there we go. So this is actually a pretty interesting looking world. Nice! We made it. We got one. So, what are things doing now? Well, we're introducing legends. What this means is right now there's dragons raging across the landscape, giant wars being fought, entire civilizations rising and falling. And we're going to stop the game on the year 100. Maybe we'll go 150. The reason for this is you'll see a lot of people are dying. If you're just playing it by yourself, feel free to just leave that running forever. No reason not to. It'll stop at 250, I think, naturally. But we're going to stop at 100 just because it does take a while. And it's interesting playing a, like, younger age. I always enjoy that in games. Much like the first age of Tolkien was very interesting. But we're gonna just try and get into the game sooner as opposed to later. It is better to leave it running because then there's more backstory, sort of randomly generated stuff. And that makes it interesting because then when your dwarves are carving a statue, suddenly it's a statue about some battle between man and hellbeast. And then the goblin army invaded from the south. And it's a lot of fun to read about these things, to get into your own world. Because very much Dwarf Fortress is a game about getting into your own world. It's very much a role-playing experience, and you just cannot argue with having more of that backstory stuff, because if you're playing Dwarf Fortress, you're probably like me, and you're huge into fluff, so. Just another 25 years ago. Sorry about the wait here. I could edit this in post and cut it out, but, we'll see if I get around to doing that or not. Unfortunately, as someone who... I just stream everything I play because I have very little time to actually play games these days. Unfortunately, my life is a bit busy. And so I often leave my videos unedited. I used to love editing videos. In fact, you couldn't tear me away from it back in, you know, high school. But lack of time means, you know, if I can pump out a video by playing it, discussing, and the downside is I have about a 3-minute period that's sort of just dead space. Yeah, that's rough, but the video is probably going to be like an hour long tutorial. Often what I do is I leave a YouTube annotation, just like skip to here, because it's a lot easier for me to do that than to export to YouTube, download from YouTube, edit, and then re-upload to YouTube. It's a huge process that takes way too long. And the editing period is only a small amount of that time. So, here we are, year 100. Press enter or escape to pause finish. Then you have to wait for it to realize you hit the button. So we'll probably end on year 104, which is often what happens for me. 103, excellent. So, we may press C to continue. Oh no. U to use the world as it currently exists. That always trips me up. Just finalize a few little details. Looks like a nice little world, though. I'm excited. We will press enter to accept. You'll see that in the bottom left here. And the world is Zatadin, the dimensions of enchanting. Which, hey, that sounds really cool. I like that. So, now we've created a world. We're ready to play the game in a minute. Because it has to save the world, offload, and pack it all up. And then we have to go back to the menu and actually use the world that we just created. So one thing you might want to do is if you have free time, not for playing a game, say you're doing homework, or you're watching a TV show, create a world, have it finish, save it, create another world, save it, and you could queue up like 3 of these. You really only need 1, but sometimes it's nice to have some extra worlds created, so the next time you play and you just want to have like a different world to go into, you can feel free. One nice thing about Dwarf Fortress is if your fortress ever fails, you can come back to it. You can just start a new fortress either in the same place or a place nearby, and therefore you're filling up your world and continuing this legacy. So when you eventually play adventure mode, suddenly you have a lot of cool, familiar stuff going on. Dwarf Fortress is not responding right now, and that will happen a lot with this game when it's loading or saving. Don't worry about that, it's a very common occurrence. Oh, pardon me, I had a bit of a yawn. Saving history. Pardon me there. Forgot to mute my mic when I was taking a sip. Alright, we're going to start playing now. Dwarf Fortress, Zatadin. Make sure this is the world you want. Dwarf Fortress is what you want. Legends just lets you look at the backstory, like the events that have happened. I honestly wouldn't. It's interesting, but it's more fun to experience them as they come into play in the game naturally. And adventure mode is a roguelike mode. It's okay. A lot of cool things you can do. Unfortunately, it's sort of randomly generated sort of quest things that can happen. So I often, if I want to play a roguelike, I play something like Caves of Cud or something along those lines. So, we are Granite 103 of the year 103, and it's day 15, it looks like. So we're embarking in the very early spring, which is good. I think it always embarks in spring. Yeah, so you see we're on 8 right now, so we're still loading. We're on 8 and it has to get all the way to 15. Winter, the first winter, it's not like one of those games where it's like, oh, it's winter time. I hope I have all the food. Not quite. But the first winter in this game is very important because that's when the traders appear, the Dwarven caravan. So you have to have a lot of stuff ready by then, because it's going to get a bit crazy. So likely what I'm going to do is when I throw the video on YouTube, I might see if I can split this into 2 videos and have the first part just world generation. We'll have the second part, your embark and then stuff like that. I think I'm going to have to download the video, unfortunately, which, like I said, it's going to take several hours to do, but it makes it easier for you guys, and it seems a little bit more professional, which makes me happy. So first thing you do, right here, press F, little F key. Looks, you got tons of stuff all over the screen. You don't know what you're doing. We want to find an X and Y dimension. 3 and 3 is okay. I always make that a little higher. I like to go 4 and 4. Sometimes I go 5 and 5 if I'm playing an actual game, but I'm just going to do 4 and 4 for this. Making it higher is really going to kill your CPU. Not as much of a problem for mine, but it also allows you to have like a much bigger thing, because once you create your start location, you can't make it bigger. But for your first one, just stay with a 3x3. That's okay. Savagery, high savagery, I always recommend. Evil, though, Let's keep it on we don't care. We really, if you, yeah, we're just going to put on NA. It just makes it a lot easier. Ideally, we get a place with low evil. High evil's okay. Yeah, it's for a lot of fun. But early on, you want high savagery. What this does is, you have an antagonist from day one. It's called the environment. The wildlife will potentially harm your troops. Not always, but potentially mess up your dwarves. Very few people will probably die from it. All depends. But it's good having something that forces you inside, that forces you to react to things. Because while it may sound scary and while it may sound frustrating, it's very important to go into the game expecting that. Because then, you play your baby game, and then when you do the actual game, you're not like, oh no, I died, I don't want to play this, I'm just going to go back to having a baby fortress. That's not very good. Elevation doesn't matter. High is very good, though, but it doesn't matter. Temperature doesn't matter. Rain doesn't matter. Drainage, again, none of this matters. NA is okay all the way down. Flexstone layer is an important yes. Flexstone is a stone that creates iron, and it's one of the most useful trading commodities, and also you need it to create an economy, basically. Aquifer, we want a big no. An aquifer is just a high amount of water beneath the soil. I'm from farmland. We actually had that. If you dug down a foot and a half, you could start flooding your lawn. It's very frustrating to deal with. But in farmland, it's actually quite nice for irrigation purposes. So river, 100% yes. Rivers give you access to fresh water and also fishing, potentially. The fresh water is more important because fresh water is the only way that your dwarves can, fill buckets to heal sick dwarves, because sick dwarves only drink water. All the other times, dwarves drink beer. So you set out, no river, you're fine, but then, yeah, you're going to run into problems. So, shallow metal. Multiple, deep metal, multiple. We want to have metal around. Soil doesn't matter, and clay doesn't matter. So we hit enter here, it's going to start searching. And you'll see the red things it hasn't found yet, but it's going to eventually find us a couple spots with these. And we are going to want to wait for it to go all the way through. Because unfortunately, having one result is, it's probably not actually going to have all the things we need, because there's more than just here. 110%, there's more things I want than just this. Now, you can get around an aquifer. But it requires pumps, and requires a lot of work, and things can go wrong, because basically you have to pump out an entire layer of water that's constantly filling up. So while you can create it, it is a major headache just pumping it out and trying to set up walls and stuff like that under the ground so you can keep this water from flooding your fortress. So it's fun. It's good for an advanced player, but I would not recommend it for a new game. So I'm going to mute my mic for a minute and drink some tea, and we'll be back as soon as we have a couple results here. Alright, so one thing is, you'll see here, we have an option that if I turn off shallow metal to multiple, if I say just NA, we are going to be able to find an embark location. So if we don't find something on this one pass, I'll do that. Because it's okay if you don't have multiple shallow metals. It makes the game a lot easier. Especially when you're trying to do a bit of a tutorial and explain how to do things, because then you find it very early on, but it's not the end of the world. So you can always go deeper. Going deeper has its problems, as Mind of Moria will tell you, unfortunately.
but that's alright. Oh, cool, cool, we have one. So I might actually... very tempted to stop the search, but I guess we'll wait. I was just saying how you're not supposed to stop the search. But I was excited to get into it. Start telling you guys what's up. Alright. I'm going to be impatient. Go on a gamble here. Let's hit escape to stop our search. Just cross our fingers. Alright. So right here, here's the local view. So basically, here's in the world. The flashing X is where we are on the world map. The region's just a zoomed-in portion of that. Actually, kind of looks like the northeastern part of France towards Holland. The Burgundy area, I guess you could say. Actually, Flanders would be like right around here. But, and this is the local. This is the very, very, very zoomed in. None of all of this comes into play. None of this giant area here. Just this tiny little bit of land. It's going to be our fortress. So, first thing we do. Let us escape to browse results. So we'll see, the temperature is scorching. Wow. It's not great. So, it's a desert. There's going to be no trees. It's going to be interesting. Okay, there is a little bit of woodland, actually, just in the top left-hand corner. Where the river is. What's in the bottom part? Shallow meadows, shallow meadows. Whoa! Whoa, video game, no. That's that Zoom I was telling you about. It causes problems. Do not recommend that. Never, ever, never. I need to find a way to actually disable it. But, so you see here, it's just all bad. But up here, is there a fourth region? See right here, I don't see, oh, okay, that's all this stuff. So one thing we're actually going to do, we're going to just move it up one. Okay, so moving it up one, we lose a little bit down here of the scorching heat, the untamed wilds, and all the sand and stuff. But it gives us a little bit more of, up here, this part, where we have, you know, some woodland. It's still scorching, but there are trees, and there's some soil. To do that, right down here, the U, M, K, and H keys move your view box up, down, left, and right. You can also increase the size by holding Shift on one of those. We're not going to do that. We don't want to make this area any bigger than we have. And F1, F2, F3, F4, and all that kind of stuff, it will view your biome right here. So that's how I was seeing. So F1, there's a biome here. It's the friendly crest. F2, decisive prey, etc. We're not done yet, though. Embark takes a little bit more. So we're going to hit Tab. Oh my goodness, this is perfect. Neighbors, dwarves, goblin, elves, and humans. This is exactly what you want to see. The two most important are dwarves and goblins. You want goblins to have that little bit of antagonism throughout the game. Dwarves you need to have. They are your allies. And elves and humans are excellent to have as well. Trading partners. Potentially war will happen. It's all good fun. Lots of civilizations nearby. Uh-oh. I accidentally moved my... That's fine. Elevation. This is important as well. You'll notice it's not great. It's actually kind of low here. That's because we're in a desert. You want your elevation to be high. so you can easily build. But that's okay. We're not worried about that right now because we have some medium cliffs. And that's going to be very important, as it makes building a fortress extremely easy early on. So let's go ahead and hit E to embark. It's larger than possible. That's okay. Press A, enter. And first thing, don't hit play now. Click prepare for the journey careful. Wow. Prepare for the journey carefully. That's what we want to do. So this is a point buy system here. Bottom of the screen here, you'll see we have 400 points to play with. There's a lot of ways you can go about this. My recommended, first off, hit tab to switch views here. We're going to have a couple to go through. We'll have the peasants and like the dwarves and the inventory. Okay. First thing you want to do, iron anvil. If you're just starting out, yes, you want this. It's very expensive at 100 points, but we need that. That's going to be very, 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 very important. I don't take it because I always trade for it with the dwarves when they come, which sort of forces you to get into trading, which is good. But we'll leave it for now. We're not going to end up needing it for a long time, but that's okay. So our first peasant. Always make your first 2 peasants miners. When you get good at the game, you can feel free to customize how you want. First 2 miners, we need 2 miners. The second guy, we need to be a proficient carpenter. It's very important because carpentry... Now, we're going to start without a lot of wood. So it's a bit risky, actually, having a carpenter like that, but that's fine. I have a guy with 1 point in woodcutter. You don't need your woodcutter to be that fast. And this is just going to make him a little faster than normal, but also it starts him with the woodcutting skill labor enabled. So you don't have to manually do that. But you do want a very fast carpenter. You also want a very fast mason, as masonry is going to be your other very important... Oh, I was right at the top and I missed it. It's going to be your other very, very important skill. And it's one of those things. Why am I increasing it? Won't he just level it up by doing it? Yes. But it cuts down the time it needs to make these things. Early on in the game, you need to pump out doors. You need to pump out beds. You need to pump out, like, blocks and wheelbarrows and splints. All these things take a lot of time to make. The faster you can put those out, your chairs and everything, the happier your door is going to be faster. Now, for the next guy, I like to make a leader, a mayor, if you will. So we want someone who is a persuader, a negotiator, a liar, intimidator, or a judge of intent. We want someone who's an appraiser. That's very good because he's going to be our mayor and our trade man. A conversationalist, a comedian, a flatterer, and a consoler. Now, this is going to make him a social butterfly. He's useless at everything else. But he's going to be the guy that walks in the room, keeps everyone a little bit happier, gets elected every year as mayor, which is important. You really want somebody that you can count on to be the mayor. Because they might be the worst mayor ever. You don't know that. But you need the same guy, so you can always be like, that's the guy. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about constantly... It gets to be a headache, I'll tell you that much. And for our last guy, going 3 miners is an okay start. But, much more important is grower. We need a very good farmer, because that is the backbone of our food stocks. It's tempting to take the grower and actually make him a skilled brewer as well. What this allows you to do is, he grows the plants and then he can brew drinks very well. The problem with this is, while it does speed up his drink producing capabilities and does make them a little bit better quality so everyone's happier, it's important to have a grower on full-time growing. Eventually, we're going to have someone come in and be a brewer. That's not a problem. But right away, right in the beginning, we need someone on growing. So often what I do is I make the our mayor character. I'm going to have him eventually be our brewer. Because he's going to be useless early on. He's not really used for anything. He's just going to go around, carry things from A to B, and brew drinks. Which people are going to like him for, so that's excellent. 2 picks is a good start. You might want to do 3. You can make picks out of wood, but I'm just going to say right now. Well, okay, we'll make 1 out of wood. Right in. Copper battle axes, we only need 1. Yeah, Zelphus. Well, that was you last time, actually. You were our mayor-in-chief. So, very important to have the battle axe. Just 1 of them, so you can cut down trees. Having more than 1, you're not going to use it. You don't have any military dwarves. So, dwarven, beer, rum, etc. These are very important. We're going to want probably about 30 of each, because we're not going to be brewing drinks for a little bit in the beginning. Plump helmet spawn, you're going to want a good amount. Probably about 40 to 50, because those are seeds that create the main food item of the game. It's basically a mushroom, and how it works is, so you plant the mushroom in the ground, the mushroom grows. 1 seed can create up to 5 mushrooms, depending on the skill of the brewer and a random number. It might go higher than that, but 5 is the biggest one that I've noted. And then you can brew each mushroom into like 1 beer, but the beer, you get a seed back from making the mushroom. If you just eat the mushroom, you don't get a seed back. So how it works is essentially you brew, say 3 mushrooms, you turn 2 into beer, 1 into food, something like that, or 1 and 2. So you're always getting more seeds than you need. Pigtail seeds, we're going to be using this for rope. Not important in the beginning. 10 is fine. Cave wheat, honestly, it's your first time, just leave it at 5, 5, and 5, 5, 5. You don't need any of this stuff. You're probably not going to use it for a very long time, but it's nice having the option for variety later on when you want to start experimenting. Prepared pig brain. Delicious. Cave lobster. Plump helmets, again, that's the food. I want to start with a couple of those, but not too much. They're a bit expensive. As for all this stuff, bags, it's useful. It's useful to just start with this stuff. I often don't. Once you get more advanced in the game, you're going to get rid of a lot of these items because you can just produce them yourself, but it's good to start with the default. You want buckets, splints, and crutches to help out, dwarves when they're injured, so you don't have to make that early on. Wheelbarrow, same thing. Step ladder. Don't take a step ladder because you use it for collecting fruit off trees, and you can make one very easily, and we're not going to need it in the beginning. So what do we spend the rest of our points on? 178. First off, things we want. We're going to want some... Getting some cows would be good, but they're very expensive. So 2 female dogs and 2 regular dogs is a good start. The dogs will give you a lot of offensive and defensive help, and they'll breed. Having 1 cat, just 1, is good. We're going to make it a male, and the reason is it's just going to go around and eat rats and sort of keep us healthier. But we don't want too many because cats just breed forever, and they're useless, and it's not very good. So, one option we can take here is we can take a 2 sheep. It's going to give us wool, and we can get milk from them. It's tempting, but I think we'll just go with the simple. Yeah, no vermin is very important. So the simplest thing to do is just add. If you hit the N key, you can create a new item in your list, and then use the arrows to go and choose. And things you always want is turtles. If you have an option, depending on your embark, you might not have an option. So we just want to take a bunch of turtles, cave fish, and lobsters, because these items give us shells, which you'll need for crafting later on, and then just take as much of the different kinds of meat as possible. The reason why we're taking all these different types of meat instead of just a bunch of 1 when they're all the same point value is every different item we get, so prepared yak lung, prepared yak eye, they all take up a different barrel. So we're getting a bunch of free barrels, basically, which is basically just a bunch of free wood, which we're going to use... Whoa, what happened there? Sand. Sure, take a sand. Oh, 0 points remaining. Okay, so we did use up all our points. That's fine. We don't really want that sand, actually, but that's okay. So we're done. Hey, Bethbo, how you doing? So, we've got all our dwarves. We've got our item list. Again, when you play this more, you can cut down the iron anvil. You don't need that in the start, and you can cut off the all this stuff here. But for now, hit Shift and G. You can name your group. The Bodice of Stasis is actually kind of cool. It's like a bra that never comes off. 100% okay with that. We're going to hit Escape to end that. You can randomize it or you can create your own. Feel free to do whatever you like. Name our fortress Lance the Glacier. Well, we're in the middle of the desert, so that said, Kubu Kusir is kind of cool. Kubu Kusir. I like it. And that's it. So you hit E to embark. You can save your profile, but it's best to always do it every time. Because if you save a profile and you embark in a different area, you're going to have different things that you can take. You're not going to be able to take some of the old stuff. It's just going to clash and you're going to lose. Oh.
Let's make the best of it. Let's start digging.
Well, that was Sound Sense for you. Had some fun little stuff. Oh my goodness, this music is crazo. That's fine. So you've arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all Tekad Stistmeg, which is not us, not our fortress name, but it's our civilization we came from. There's almost no supplies left. Well, there's actually lots, but oh well. With stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves, etc. So, Kubu Kasir, Lance Glacier, strike the earth. Hit escape. You're in the game now. And give me a second here, actually. It's interesting that Sound Sense does not mute the in-game audio. Not sure why that is. But it is what it is. So here's our dwarves. You'll see up to the north, if you remember, that's where our forest was. It's actually got a fair amount of trees, so we're good. Here's our river. That was the top corner of the screen. And here's the desert with its unbridled rage. So first thing you want to do, there's a few very important keys let's learn right off the bat. Hit tab to get rid of this. It's useless. Hit tab again. Now we have a decent sized screen. All your hotkeys are here except for the most important one, which is shift and the arrow beside the M key. It's like a triangle bracket that will change your Z levels. So the left one will make it go up and the right one will make it go down. Very important to navigate. So you'll see here, all these little things are ramps. That means there's a level up above us. It's actually a mountain, so if we shift up, we can see, hey, there's a little plateau here, and then down below are our dwarves. All our dwarves are right here. We'll get to naming them in a minute, which I highly recommend you do. First thing you do want to do, though, is hit Q, which is, I forget what it's called in here, set building, item, tasks, whatever. And then hit X on your wagon. The wagon is useless. It's just one piece of wood. The problem is having a wagon means everyone congregates at the wagon. So until you get rid of it, you're in a lot of trouble, actually, because your dwarves are just going to hang around there, your animals are going to hang around there. So, before you unpause the game, we want to hit D, which is designate task. We're going to use this a lot, actually, and T. So anytime you hear me hit D, it's going to bring up this. So we hit T, and this will let us cut down trees. Trees in this item sprite pack look like these right here, little like wooden things. If we zoom up, we can see actually they're huge. So let us start chopping. We're just gonna chop and select this entire area. Basically, what you do is, you hit the Enter key after hitting T, and you'll see this little flashing green area. And then we're gonna just select a box, and we will cut everything in that area. So all these trees are gonna get chopped down. So, this music's quite nice actually. If you hit the U key, you can see all your dwarves, what they're up to. Urist, Etis, Methos, etc., etc. They're mostly picking up equipments to do their jobs. Let us hit the Z key. It'll bring us to Urist here, who we were highlighted on. We're going to hit the Z key again, and then Y to customize him. And this will be good old Zelphus. And I'm just going to do that real quick. Name all our dwarves. It doesn't change their actual name, gives them a nickname, but I highly recommend doing it. And we're just going to name them real quick after people that pop in the stream a lot. And people I see right now in the chat. And the reason why I recommend always changing your dwarf names, at least the beginning ones. Well, unfortunately, we're probably not going to play this too far today, Zelphis. I'm just sort of doing a quick tutorial video, teach some people how to play. Mr. Origami, of course. And our expedition leader. Well, I remember Wargames likes being the expedition leader, actually. But, that's alright. We'll make this good old George. So, the reason why I recommend naming all your dwarves is right now it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Bepho, I love that too, actually. I find it very relaxing. I used to just put on Dwarf Fortress video and just, you know, that would be my way to like fall asleep in the evening. So, why you name all your dwarves here is number one reason you become very attached to them. And also it's very important. If I name Zelphis a minor, which I just have done, normally what I would do if I was streaming this, I ask people in chat what they want to be, and I try and help that. Eventually we can do that, but in the beginning you have a very limited selection. But why you name your dwarves is even if you don't have a chat, even if you're just playing by yourself, when you name someone, you know, say I call him Legolas, call him Gimli and Frodo, and I name them after people that I really like, I'm going to remember Gimli. I'm not going to remember Urist, because there's 40,000 Urists in this game. But I will remember Gimli. And that one time he fell down the, you know, the well, and we had to drag him out. All that kind of stuff. And it's very important because you get to a point where it's like, oh no, who was the blacksmith that I needed that had like super grand martial legendary weaponsmithing? Oh, I've got like 17 blacksmiths. Which was that? You just remember. Because he had a name. Even when you have 120 dwarves, you remember each and every one. So, to start, hit the K key. It's going to bring up our little viewage. And if you mouse over stuff, this is dense dry cotton grass. Here's a yellow sand wall. This stuff here is tetrahedrite. It actually can become iron. So that's very good for us. All flux stones will look the same. And this is limestone. So it's just a generic, you know, stone that we're going to use to create like a bunch of chairs and doors and stuff. And this is jet. I believe jet actually has a good chance of spawning gems in it, which is interesting. Oh, and what was this mudstone? So first thing you want to do, we still haven't unpaused. We've named all our dudes. We've got everything queued up for chopping. We're going to dig. It's just a very dwarfy thing. We're going to find somewhere nice, and we're going to make a... If you're just starting out, what you want is a 1x1. Alright? Because you can just put in here, slap a door, etc. Very nice and easy. It actually makes a lot more sense to do it up here by the wagon. I think that'll be fine, though. However, what we are going to do is make this a 3x3 hole. Right here. Going to make it a 3x3. And then inside that 3x3, just go ahead and extend it this way. We're going to make a 5x5. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to be for our trade depot. It's important to set this up early on. Go ahead and drag this out this way. And then we'll make our 1x1. And then we'll extend to a 3x3. Reason for this. 3 tile wide corridors, you're going to be able to have more dwarves packed into them at one time because dwarves do get crowded in the hallways, and it will slow down not only the game, but your dwarves getting anywhere. Making a 1x1, this is because we're going to put a door there. This will stop enemies from coming in, at least early on, until we have enemies that can destroy doors. Also lets us lock the doors if that's important. So you do want 3x3 for your main corridors, unless you do a bigger size. I recommend 3x3 though. 2x2 is okay. The downside of 2x2 is it means every door has to be a double door. If you care about aesthetics. Because, you know. So, for now though, we're just going to do this. The trade depot is a very important building to build early on. You really have to get it up and running. And let's unpause. And we're going to watch our dwarves just run around and try and figure out what they're doing with their life. But real quick, I forgot. Our expedition leader here, George. We're going to hit U and then Z to select him. P to go to his preferences, and L for labor, farming related, hit enter. Use the arrow, the plus and the minus on your numpad to maneuver these. And we want him on, where is it? Brewing. So he's now a brewer. We want that because we don't have a still set up yet, but I'm going to forget if I don't do it now. So you'll see right now we have Zelphus and Bethbo mining away. I will probably continue this and make it an actual fortress, but for right now, I'm just doing a tutorial because I have a lot of people that you know, watch my channel that don't really understand Dwarf Fortress, or much less how to play it. So I'm just doing a very slow beginning, and then once this is done, I will probably actually get back into playing Dwarf Fortress again. But for now, we're just relaxing together and sort of learning a little bit about the game, how to play. And enjoying SoundSense. First time I used it. Really, really nice music, actually. So we are clearing this out. If you hit U, you can see all the dwarves again. We go pets, livestock. Here's all our... We start with 2 horses, which is nice. Others. There's an aardvark and a weasel. But it's important to check this because if they have red here, generally they're enemies. Wild animals may or may not attack you. So, if you hit U, or look at the top right here, you'll see we have 4 people doing nothing. That's bad, but early on, you can't really help it. You just need a lot of mining to do. So, now that we have a tiny little area, this will be our trade depot spot, because a 3x3 is enough for a wagon to fit in. If you make your trade depot in this little area here, the wagon won't be able to come, so they'll only send a single guy with a couple camels or something. You really want the whole wagon so you have a lot of items to choose from. So, now that we have this, let's go ahead and make a room. Our very first room, there's a lot of options you can do. I'm just going to make it 3x3. Chunk that in there. And another 3x3 beside it. And chunk that in there. And these rooms are going to be our very first workstations. Workshops, rather. Another thing I like to do is go to the expedition leader here, ZPL, and I like to make him an architect. This means he's going to be the guy that runs over and says, okay, that can be a building, and then other people can build it. So if we go B, this is our build menu. Shift D, you can go ahead and use your plus and minus key, then navigate through here, but Shift D is a trade depot. We're going to place it where we set it up. Build it out of 3 limestone, call it a day. Now we're going to hit W, bring us up our workshops. Things we want right away. We need a mason's workshop. Put that there. Make it a limestone. And we're going to want a carpenter's workshop in this second little area. So B, W, and C. Make that a limestone as well. Now when you play the game, feel free to design your fortress different. I often try for extravagant designs. Right here, though, we're just doing a very simple, very basic, safe fortress for a first time. Let's queue up some tasks for the mason. We're going to build a bunch of doors. Hit A to build a new task. Scroll down the door or hit the D key. And we're going to just need a ton of doors early on. A carpenter, we want to start building beds. So scroll down to B. Or A and B, A and B, A and B. You can also hit R to make it a repeating task, but they will do that until they die. So, let's not do that for now. We just need 7 beds anyway. Escape to get out, and we're just going to have them do that. Now, let's have our miners go ahead and build some more workshop space. We don't need it just yet, but eventually we will. We may repurpose these rooms later, but right away we just want to have some safety. We're going to extend this a little bit more. And let's build a generic stockpile. I think that'll be our first set of business here. Something like this looks fine. And then maybe another one on the other side. We'll extend this hallway just a little more here. Now one thing is when you build a bedroom, you do want it a decent amount away from workshops. As workshops make noise, it makes your dwarves unhappy. I forget exactly how much away. So let's just extend this down to here. And gonna make a room like this. It's gonna be a staircase eventually. I like to make my staircases kind of like a 3x3. I think it's very good. And we'll put the bedroom here, I think. So maybe something along these lines. This bedroom is eventually, I'm going to turn it into a barracks for our military, so our military is nice and close to the front entrance and they can just run in. But for now, we're just going to have that where everybody sleeps because it's far away from all our workshops. So we have 2 people not doing anything. Again, you can check by looking up here. The expedition leader, of course, will always do nothing, except until we get the still up to brew. And our planter is doing nothing. So we do not have a farmer at the moment. Well, we do, but he's not doing anything. So, there's build, B to build, W for workshops, and L for still. So, we have set up our brewery now. Let's go ahead and do that. It started raining. Now, hopefully by now, we have finished building. You can do Q to check out your various workshops. So we have finished a couple doors, you can see, because we have a few slots right here. Hey Rudy, how you doing? So let's go build build and a door and put it right here. Well, it sounds like epic combat is happening. I don't know where though. Sound sense might just be crazy. Alright, hang on. I'm actually gonna open sound sense real quick. Weather, yeah. Sound configuration. Battle strikes. Let's turn. Can I turn these off? Awesome. Excellent. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of terrible sound effects in games. So, Hero Laura still here. We're gonna press A, B. Can we not make mead or brew drink? Why not? Unrotten. Oh, we don't have any food, really? Oh, that ain't good. We've already eaten all our plump helmets. That's gonna be rough. So we have a door now, so we're mostly safe from enemies. And Shift T is very important as well. Or Shift D, sorry. So you see our depot is actually inaccessible. Why is that? Apparently no one can get to us. I thought it was 3 tiles that one needed. Oh yeah, something did die. An aardvark. I guess the dogs killed it. Which is good for us. It's very odd. Anyway, while we dig a little bit more here, let's bring up Dwarf Therapist and explain how this works. If you click Connect to Dwarf Fortress, take a minute. It's going to load all our dwarves in. And, where is it here? Group by, that's fine. There's something... It's so frustrating, I can't remember where it was. Hang on. Where they arrived by. There's a filter I always use to see like which wave they came in. That's alright, it's not super useful. But anyway, here's our door. So we can see that George is actually, I guess, a lesbian. Interesting. But everyone else is just a happy little dwarf. Actually, War Games is gay. They added sexual preferences in at some point, which is interesting. So we can see everyone's skill in various tasks and what they're doing. Apparently struck yellow jasper, which is a gem. Now, with gems, you can see they look kind of like little dots. not every time you mine into a wall with a gem will something come out. Similarly, not every time you mine into, you know, our lignite or whatever it is, it's not always going to come out either. It's just a chance that there's one of those in there. So make sure queuing up some more doors. You do actually need a lot of doors, so we're going to build them. Similarly, you need a lot of beds. Things we also need. Scroll down here. We're also going to need a wooden pick. We're going to need some wheelbarrows. 2 wheelbarrows would probably be good. And a wooden weapon, want a pick. Thought you can make a pick out of wood. Maybe that's wrong. I guess I was, actually. Interesting. That's alright, though. Let's get some barrels. We're going to need those for our still to make beer. And we'll start building the bed. So B to build, and B again to build a bed. And we're going to place them just on the walls here. How do I want to lay this out? I guess that'll probably do. And that's all our dwarves. So don't need anything more, and we'll build some doors here and here. Now this right here, this is mudstone. So presumably up here we're going to be able to build some farms. Something I'm going to go ahead and do. P, we're going to designate some stockpiles. So P to bring up your stockpiles. F is for food. I'm going to put that down here near the brewery. And W for wood. They want a very large wood stockpile on the inside. We'll worry about everything else later. So let's go ahead and try and do that. Again, just a very basic fort. I'm not really overly concerned about how beautiful she is. We'll go ahead and build up maybe... how do I want to do this? Well, this area looks like we actually might have a lot of soil. So let's go ahead and mine out... Say, this whole thing actually could probably be mined out. And hopefully there's a decent amount of soil in there so we can set up a farm. You see our dwarves are building the beds. Actually, it looks like one got cancelled. There's supposed to be one here. Not sure what's up with that. Somebody probably took a bed before someone else and the pathing got broken. Now hit Q for your building preferences. Press R to make a room on the bed. Plus to make it this size, and we're going to assign it as a dormitory. So yes. What this means is dwarves can now sleep in there free, and the thing is, dwarves will fall asleep. They will sleep forever. And if your dwarves do not sleep on a bed, they get very unhappy. And even early on, you want to spend all your time trying to avoid unhappy thoughts. Because once they start getting depressed, it all goes downhill. Because then one kills himself, and they all kill themselves. It gets bad. So you'll notice right now, what's our miner doing? He's collecting wood, putting it in the wood stockpile. That's admirable, but I really want the wood to wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit U, bring up this menu Z to go to Zelphus here. I'm going to scroll down the hauling, and I'm going to turn off wood hauling. I'm just going to say, Zelphus, you know, Befbo, don't worry about the wood. That's fine. You can haul other things, you can haul garbage and stone, whatever, but not wood. There's always going to be someone else to drag wood around. Another thing we can do is we can hit Q, go to the stockpile, and we can press W and give it 2 of our wheelbarrows. Wheelbarrows, you move a lot faster hauling something with a wheelbarrow. So, it's going to help people get the wood there even faster. Let's see, we're making doors and barrels, excellent. It's fine with me. Is this still being bid? Yeah. This music is actually very fun. I like it. So right now, you'll see our... My goodness, borrowed bullets. He has cut down the entire forest, it looks like. There's just wood for days. This might be more wood than we'll use in a lifetime, or at least until the rest of the trees are grown. But what can you do? There's no stopping that man. Let's see if we can brew any drinks yet. Not quite. So we are going to have to get our plantation up. You see here, these are actually bones that are happening. So, two-legged rhino lizard remains. And these bones are actually going to disappear because they're outside. After a while, they just do disappear. So we're going to want to set up a trash inside. I'm going to actually put it out here where the trader is, because we don't really care, and if the trader gets stinky, oh well. It's not our concern. So we'll set up a little area like that. It's going to be our garbage dump. What are you guys doing? You're constructing a building and you are digging. Excellent. Selphus, of course, had to put the bed down before he got back to things. Now he's having a drink. Attaboy. And now what are you doing, Zelphus? Storing an item in the stockpile. Oh, you're carrying more food. Well, we do eventually need that. So we're going to bring up our stockpiles now that this is completed. Press R for refuse, and I'm going to make this a refuse stockpile. So now they're going to put the remains in there so they don't, you know, die and basically, I forget what it's called. Oh my goodness, why is my mind not working this evening? Decompose. So they don't decompose, because we are going to need those bones for things. So this is mudstone cavern floor. Excellent. Now, mudstone is a bit sad because we're not going to be able to smooth it out and make the walls look pretty. But this is just a very basic fortress, and often what I do is I build a basic fortress to get me going, and then I build a real fortress later on, generally on a lower level, where it's just all stone and stuff like that. But this is a very basic fortress, and actually this by itself, what we have right now, is enough to beat the game. Air quotes beat the game. There's no winning the game, as far as I know. Well, sort of. Wink, wink. But anyway, so let's go ahead and build some doors, since we have them. And we'll just put them at all our doorways. The doors make dwarves happy if they see them and they're a decent quality. And they also keep people in, out, and cats especially. It's just good to have them. So there we go. We finally have depot access. I assume we just had to wait for the depot to finish building. So you'll see our depot can just squeeze in here. Or the wagon can, sorry. So excellent. So let's go ahead and B for build, P for farm plot. And no! Mudstone cavern floors do not count. Okay, so we are going to have to find some real soil. Interesting. That's going to be a bit rough with our setup here. Whoa, what is all dead over here? KV boars. Who murdered all the dwarves, man? Oh. I don't know. I guess the dogs have been out murdering everything. Okay. So here's some, actually. You can see there's a little hollow. It goes down to a murky pool. So this is soil. Alright. We could do it that way. Alright. The simple way, the way that I always do it is, unless you can build it in sand, actually. Can you build in sand? I've never tried to build. You can. Well, you can build it outside. Can't build in this stuff. Okay, that's fine. So we could build our farm plots outside. I don't know if you can build farm plots outside, but it's worth a shot. Let's go ahead and do that. Make a nice big farm right about... We want it close to the entrance, so let's put it about here. And our dwarf is going to run over here and try and build that. And one thing you want to do, go to your planter, and you want to turn off almost all of his hauling jobs. Stone, wood, item, burials okay, food, refuse is okay, furniture no, animal no. Those are okay. The reason why you want this is because it's very important that he just sits there and makes food all day long. Otherwise you're going to run into some problems. Let's actually go to designate task. We're going to gather plants, and you can see there's a few plants over here in the wooded section. We're just going to try and gather all this. See if we can get some berries going. We're going to have our expedition leader, George, who's sleeping. Very busy day, I'm sure. We will have him work on plant gathering as well. So one thing I really like to do is if you go B for build, C for constructions, and W for wall, I really like to wall off areas like this. So we're going to build these out of wood logs, because we have thousands of them. But I just don't like having to worry about people getting in or out. My fortress. But most importantly, I just... hang on here. The better way to do this, I suppose... Well, I can delete each individual wall segment. Interesting. Okay. But I honestly worry a lot about people. Sorry, goodness, I need to sleep more. Enemies coming in and murdering my farmers, because that will happen a lot, especially when they're off outside. Eventually, we can also make pastures outside. Similar deal. We're going to build walls like this, and then we will be building doors once the walls are up. Unless I built the walls weird, which I did.
Sorry, I can't do it, sir.
Oh, jeez, don't give me a heart attack, please. Not like that. What can't you build, Origami? Talk to me. Why can't you build the farm? Crazy, man. I think it's because he was trying the path over here, and then we tried building a wall. What is all this stuff? Dense dry mountain avens. It's like flowers springing up everywhere. Alright. So we... not finished that yet. What is our farmer up to? He's trying to construct a building now. Excellent. So our mason, we're now going to set him to A and C for thrones or chairs, if you will. We're going to need a table and chair for everyone. And barrels. You just need tons of barrels for the carpenter. So we're going to set those up. And I'm probably going to actually end the stream for now, very soon. We've got sort of the basics coming in, and then maybe later some night or tomorrow I'll start working on a bit more of the advanced things you can do in Dwarf Fortress, how you want to go about setting stuff up. But for right here, this is all you need to play the game. You get your farm set up, and then you just live forever. It's a very basic fortress, but it works quite effectively. It's actually an interesting design. It reminds me of like some sort of like EVE Online ship or something. I can't remember the name of it. Another thing you can do, actually, is generally I do it for the original 7. I haven't right now, but that's because I'm doing a tutorial. I didn't think of it. But you go ahead and zoom in on your dwarves. So hit U, bring up your dwarf list, Z to zoom to one of them, Z again, and hit enter. And you can read all about your dwarf. They have tons of really cool backstories, and for example, Zelphus is tough, but quick to tire, weak, and quite susceptible to disease. He also has a shortage of patience. Stuff like that. And he has dreams of creating a work of art, which he's going to have a hard time doing as a minor. So maybe that's something we want to change up later, is have Zelphus go on to become the great, dwarf craftsman. Who knows? That actually might be something I start working on. But in the meantime, this is... Okay, good. That was like a weird noise. Sorry. George has just gone on to officially become the expedition leader. So good for you, George. Farm plot's still not quite done yet. I just want to get this up so I can show you the farming real quick. And then I will call it for now. And I promise somebody I would get a game in with them. And I haven't played a game with them in probably about 6 months. So, it's one of those things I don't really want to dip out of just yet. So I'll do that, and then I will have to go, and I'll be gone for the evening, and I will be back very late tonight to maybe do some Dwarf Fortress. More than likely continue Realms of the Haunting. Been really enjoying that game. I'd like to finish it off. Construction nearly done of the farm. Just queue up those doors. Now, doors won't keep every enemy out, but they deter enough of them. Such cold-hearted lobster. Why am I cold-hearted, Ruby? Come on. No seeds. So, great. We have our farm. Unfortunately, we don't have seeds yet for the that one. We can, however, brew drinks and extract from plants. So let's go ahead and extract and see if we can get some seeds. Actually, in theory, if we brew a drink, should work. So if George was to brew a drink from some of the berries out there, we might get seeds for them. Let's find out if that works. Other stockpiles you should set up on the inside, actually. Let's go ahead and get a furniture storage. Very important. We're going to fill that very easily. Finished goods, again, very important. And stone, no. Food, no. We got all that. Cloth. There you go. So everyone will start bringing all the stuff in. Come on, George. Finish brewing that drink so we can find out whether or not we can plant seeds outside. There is a way to make an inside farm, requiring a little bit of irrigation. We're actually going to start working towards that. It's a bit advanced, but it's something you got to learn anyway. So build workshop and T for the mechanic workshop. Build that right here. Now we don't have a mechanic right now. So we will have to make our woodcutter. Borrowed bullets. Welcome to the list of people that do stuff around the place. I mean, you've cut every tree in the world. The next thing up is to make gun. Or in this case, actually, just, where's it? Mechanics. There we go. We're going to make a bunch of traps, basically. We're going to set up a floodgate. And what we'll do is we'll drag the river over here. Use a floodgate and then flood a cavern area, creating mud. Okay, so he did brew the drink. Did that get a seed or no? Well, even if it didn't, we have drinks coming in. So that's good. Prickleberry. So he is making prickleberry wine. We can view the description of that. Interesting. Good news is we have drink. The bad news is we haven't got a food system up yet. We might want to look into getting a fisher. Is a fisherman, not a fisher, F-I-S-S-U-R-E. But for now, things are going fine. Alright. Mechanics Workshop built, so I'm going to queue up right now some rock mechanisms. I need a bunch of these, and I'm going to call it now. So, thanks all for joining me. I'll be back with Dwarf Fortress either tonight or tomorrow sometime to continue the tutorial, get it off the ground, and eventually continue with the an actual playing of the game. We'll get into it, and I'll spend way less time talking about how to play the game, because most people are going to understand at that point. And I will just talk about the characters. We'll read what they're up to, we'll see what's happening. Much like my last two, you know, large sessions, or whatever you want to call it, like seasons, if you will, of Dwarf Fortress. So until then, again, you all have a nice night, and good luck out there, you know? It's a cruel, uncaring world, and you can't build a farm out in the middle of nowhere and expect to grow mushrooms.